as we're talking about people facing these fears, we're speaking more about the individual and having internal fears for themselves. But there are people who are chronic worriers and have constant anxiety of other family members, friends. For example, I know mom is on a long haul trip, a road trip or something. God, I hope she doesn't get in an accident. I need her to call me every 5 minutes, etc. Are there tactics or tools that can be put in place? Are they similar for the person who worries about things that impact themselves, but also the people around them, to the extent that it becomes invasive for the people around them or too much to bear?
Sure, sure, and that's a good example of invasiveness of someone who's so concerned about the safety of their spouse when they're away from the house that they're texting every 2 minutes, and if they don't get an immediate reply, they assume the worst, and then they're calling and texting and calling hospitals and so on. What's exposure for such a person? It's to allow my spouse, my mom, whoever it is we're talking about, they're gonna drive somewhere. And let me just back up a step. It's what we call exposure and response prevention. The exposure is, my mom or my spouse is driving somewhere and I have no knowledge of what's happening to that person right now. The response prevention is every fiber of my being is screaming at me, call mom, call mom, call mom, and I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let myself be anxious and wait for mom to call and tell me when she got to her destination that I want from her. Because the more I ask for reassurance, well, it used to be I'd wait 3 minutes to get a text. Now I got to have a text back every minute. I'm becoming more and more dependent on that reassurance. So important to always keep in mind when we're talking about exposure, it's not typically by itself. It's exposure and what we call response prevention. And that's fancy talk for I don't do anything to try and get rid of the fear. I allow it to fade on its own.